U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will visit Gaza on Friday to inspect food distribution efforts, joined by U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. The trip follows his meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss Gaza's humanitarian crisis. Witkoff aims to coordinate improved food delivery and meet with Palestinians amid growing hunger and casualties, with Gaza's health ministry reporting 111 deaths in 24 hours, many while seeking aid. Deadly incidents near the Zikim crossing have been reported, though the Israeli military claims only warning shots were fired. International bodies, including the UN, warn of mass starvation and blame Israeli restrictions, while Israel accuses Hamas of fueling aid-site chaos. The UN has refused to cooperate with the US and Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, citing neutrality and safety concerns. Over 60,000 people have died in Gaza since Israel's military campaign began after the October 7 Hamas attack. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and US President Donald Trump announced a US-EU trade agreement just ahead of Trump's 1st of August deadline, easing fears of 30% tariffs. While the 15% tariff it now imposed is lower, it still marks a significant rise from the previous average of 4.8%. The deal has drawn criticism due to its vague terms, lack of legal binding, and conflicting interpretations between the two sides. Key disagreements include tariff rates on key sectors, energy purchases, and military investments, with the US presenting firmer commitments than the EU acknowledges. Major EU economies like Germany, Ireland, and Italy are expected to be hit hardest, especially in automotive, pharmaceutical, and agricultural sectors. Despite offering some short-term predictability, the deal leaves much unresolved and continues to stir debate across Europe as further negotiations loom. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called for stronger international sanctions on Russia after a deadly missile and drone attack on Kyiv killed at least 31 people, including 5 children, and wounded 159. The assault, one of the deadliest since the war began, damaged multiple civilian structures. Zelensky emphasized that sanctions are effective and must be intensified. US President Donald Trump condemned Russia's actions and hinted at new sanctions, giving Moscow a 10 to 12-day deadline to agree to a ceasefire. Ukraine has received encouraging signals from the US about further sanctions, particularly on Russian oil. Germany also pledged more air defense support. Zelensky stressed the attacks, including thousands of drones and missiles launched in July alone, can only be stopped through coordinated international pressure. The US has announced sanctions on the Palestinian Authority (PA) and the Palestinian Liberation Organization (PLO), including visa bans for their officials, in what appears to be a response to growing international support for Palestinian statehood, highlighted by a recent French-Saudi-led UN conference. The sanctions reflect the Trump administration's opposition to moves by France, the UK, and Canada to recognize a Palestinian state. The US accuses the PA and PLO of internationalizing the conflict and supporting terrorism, while critics say the move punishes Palestinians for diplomatic gains. Israel welcomed the sanctions, while Palestinian leaders condemned them as retaliatory and unjust. The measures may not significantly affect diplomatic operations, as Palestinian UN representatives are US citizens, but they underscore increasing US isolation on the issue as global support for Palestinian statehood grows. And that is all from the global scenes. Harmony Agbafor reporting for BTV News.